All right, so we're recording, so let's go ahead and begin. So let me make this a little bit bigger. All right. So again, I'll say it one more time for the sake of recording. For our face-to-face meeting today, I'm doing something a little unique. I'm using a product called Zoom to serve a couple purposes. One, to have folks like the two faculty members that are joining us today, James Wallerstedt and Shirley Pereira. They were unable to make it, but they still want to be a part of this session. So I want to have them be able to join in. Also, what I'm doing right now is I'm actually recording my screen and recording audio in the room. So everything right now is being actually recorded for online for educational purposes. So that way, once this video is done, my hope is I'll be able to post this video online. So for you, you have a way to reference everything that we talked about today. And for the others that are not able to attend this session at all during this time slot, they can watch the video and catch up and not miss anything that we talk about. Because when you miss these sessions, there's a lot of things that we talk about in the session that are not covered in the course. There's more questions. There's some other questions that we have about discussion boards, and we'll talk about other things that we have, the pages and stuff like that. You look like you're dying to ask a question, William.
Constant. Will we, this is general, you might have mentioned at one point, will we have access to this web training, this training course after May 12th?
Yes, so after May 12th, what happens, what will happen with this actual course is that on May 12th, participation will end, meaning you won't be able to submit anything or participate in any discussion boards or anything else, but you'll still be able to access the actual content. So Janet, I want to let you know, so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do a little test today. So right now I'm actually using Zoom right now so that James Wallerstedt and Shirley Pereira, who weren't able to make it today, could actually join. Also, I'm actually recording this conversation. I'm recording this whole session right now with the hopes that I can actually put this online so these people can actually review it and anybody else who actually, I'm sorry? The address that, if you're interested in looking through this project, it's CCC Confer. And by the way, this is, I believe, this is free. Their pro account is free to use. I'm trying to find WordPad here so I can make the address bigger. Can you see the address? Yeah. Let me go into WordPad here.
Well, but it's just Zoom anyway.
This is through CCC Confer, which is through the, is this through the California, is this through California Community Colleges too, Janet, do you know?
Yes.
So this product, so Zoom has its own product. Zoom has its own section for like business and enterprise stuff. However, they have one for educational too. You can sign up for an account, and I will have to do some research. If you're interested in signing up and taking advantage of the service, there's a center here, I believe it's Palomar. There's folks at Palomar. To De Anza? Okay. Because I had to call Palomar. I had to get a contact with the folks at Palomar to be able to get the the pro account. But this service right here, I've met with James a couple times online because I met with him for an orientation a couple times online. This has been a perfect way to do office hours. You can do office hours with your students. You can record these office hours. You can share them online. The only issue that I got to figure out is how can I properly caption these for online. I'm going to go ahead and post when I record this for testing. I'm going to go ahead and post it in our class just so I can make sure that it's working and everything else. But I still need to figure out how to caption it and everything to make it caption for accessibility. Yeah, Zoom.us is free. So let me also go ahead and post that. Yes, please go ahead.
There are a couple of things that I want to reiterate to you guys as the second full group of students who are
That's actually third.
Is this the third?
Third.
Third that are going through here with this training. Number one, the Blackboard is going away. Once Blackboard goes away, you will have absolutely no access to your current classes. That means your content, your student rosters, everything goes away with Blackboard. Once we roll over to Canvas, and it looks like the district is putting that date at January 29th, which is not far away, we would expect you to be teaching all your classes or using Canvas in your face-to-face classes. There will be no Blackboard. Chris and I, will support Canvas all the time. We're not supporting Blackboard anymore. It's not worth our while to do that kind of thing. So during professional development, we are going to have open labs and tons of them so that you guys who are planning to teach in Canvas in the fall semester have some support from us during the professional development week in fall. So those dates might frighten you a little bit at this point, but my suggestion to you is to start thinking about, as you go through this course, to start thinking about taking one of your courses if you teach online full-time and pilot it in the fall semester. If you want to go whole hog, that's fine, but pilot it in the fall semester. This course will not give you 100% of instruction on the whole of Canvas, because as you can imagine, a 4-week online course is really not enough to give you that. But we'll give you enough because we have designed this course with the idea that we are teaching you best practices in how to develop a course. Now, what you do in your course over when you're done with it, we hope you will follow these best practices. But in the meantime, as you go through this training, we have upgraded this course numerous times since we rolled out the first one in November. Chris has put an enormous amount of time in videos and things for this course. And our expectation is that there's not going to be too much of your own interaction with this course at the beginning, because we want you to learn how to use Canvas and use the best practices for teaching your class in Canvas. Now, this hasn't come just from Chris. I go to a million, that's not fun. I go to a million meetings. I see a lot of people out there. We talk a lot. I'm chair of the Saduka Region 10 group. And at this particular moment, we are all working together. Out of the 113 colleges, 45 are already on Canvas. 90 odd are sort of in the same position as us. So you can see the state is going all the way to Canvas, which means for our students that there is a platform that is familiar in every college they go to. And you know very well that the students go all over the place wherever they can find courses. And as the OEI, the online initiative, starts bringing in the exchange, which means students can actually take courses and get credit at Grossmont College for them, and that's down the line, you're going to see much better, much more interaction with your students and wanting to do that. Now, the students who are doing the course this semester, with the 7 faculty who are teaching, 7 or 8 faculty who are teaching online in Canvas this semester, have found absolutely no problems with their students at all. Nothing. And Miracosta's found no problems, Southwestern found no problems. So you can see that because of the simplicity of this program, the students react much faster with it and coming through it. Now, I'm saying simplicity from the student side, but I'm not saying that from the faculty side. So, just bear with us, follow the directions, get what you can out of this class. We'll be here to support you, but at least by the end of the time you walk out of this class, you will have 2-week modules of a class that you can go for the summer or the fall semester. And that's what our aim is, for you to finish those at least 2 modules so that you don't go back after a month and say, oh my God, where did I go and how do I do it?
And that's what your final project is about.
Yes. So, yeah.
So we can teach summer online?
Absolutely, absolutely. Just let us know so that we can make sure that you have a live instance and show you how to copy it into the live instance. Yes, we will have sandboxes, live sandboxes on the Grossmont College, our district Canvas site. Absolutely.
Summer courses have already been created.
Yeah, my summer course is already on.
Yeah.
No,
And then
absolutely.
you're going to go over how to put a container of our existing online classes somewhere so that we can draw from there, put them in.
We will talk about it. There is no way you can roll that entire, copy that
Right, I
entire.
don't understand that. I understand
And
that,
so
but
what
I
we'll
know
do,
there's a way to
yes,
piecemeal it.
we'll show you how to chunk it out in pieces. Put it as files on some kind of device that you can save it on, so that you can bring the content in. I'm not asking you to get new content, I mean, that's ridiculous. But you will be adding that content to your Canvas icon. Now, the whole idea with the way we are teaching you Canvas is to teach it in modules, to teach it in a linear fashion. Students like to know what's due this week. You know, they don't want to know what's due 10 weeks from now. They want to know, what do I hand in this week? And that's where Canvas has an incredible power, because you do everything in modules. So that each module, if you want to do it by the week, I know Mark wants to do it for some time like that, sort of weekly or chapter-wise, or, I mean, the modules can be anything you like, but just chunk them out in those kind of pieces, so that the reading, the tests, the quizzes, the projects, anything you do with that particular module is all in one little place that the students can go to. So you'll see, it's a fun application. Both Chris and I are still learning as we go along. You guys are really teaching us to go out and look for things. I had someone in my office this week who had no clue what the difference between quizzes and surveys were. I showed him how to go out and go and look at the guides he needs to look at, and tutus we had the answer to the question. So, you know, we will support you there 100% until that class is up and running. So, that would be awesome.
Then after that, you cut us off?
Sorry?
You cut us off?
It costs money.
I really like Starbucks, and if you want, I can email you my order if you'd like.
Yeah.
So is this class like as department chair, should we be getting all our adjuncts to sign up for this class, or is there a more
No,
advanced
this is
class?
the only class we're offering now. The online, the old certification doesn't exist anymore. I can't expect a new faculty member coming here who would say come in the fall semester, teach in the fall semester, start teaching with Canvas if they've never seen it, and also take the certification that's required by Grossmont College. So that's an 8-week, 10-week commitment, and that's ridiculous.
So any new hires we bring in right now for adjunct for the fall should be getting in this quick.
Absolutely. Now, to follow up with that, we've got 2, maybe even 3 COP classes in the summer that will be advertising. We will be sending out a notice this coming week about it. We have got, for those faculty who are just teaching it in a face-to-face environment, in other words, just the bare minimum, Chris and I are going to be opening the lab on the 5th, 6th, and 7th of June. It's just after, and we're going to be taking in people and do a workshop with them and give them the opportunity of trying it out to see what they want to do right in front of us. So those people who don't intend to go hybrid and online and fully online need to be well versed in Canvas. I mean, I know that January 29th is not far down the line, which doesn't give us a lot of time. Now, to be really honest with you, Canvas will be around until the end of summer next year, but we will not be handing out containers like we normally do as far as Blackboard is concerned. We want to push as many people onto Canvas as possible. We've got 824 faculty members on this campus, of which 530 plus are using Blackboard. So just think of what Chris and I are, 2 people.
That's what I'm wondering about, trying to get all the adjuncts.
Right.
Miracosta has 5 faculty members who are getting time to teach their faculty Canvas. So you can see we've got a huge job ahead of us in order to try and do that. So what we're asking of you is to just bear with us. I know some of the first couple of units are a bit boring and stuff, and we've used Blackboard before. You know, you probably think this is the same as Blackboard. It just isn't the same thing. You've got to relearn and reset your mindset into something else. So, you know, we're here to help you. So just move on as fast as possible.
Thank you, Janet.
Okay.
All right, so with that, we have a lot to cover today. So going over the meeting agenda real quick, we're going to address improper URL submissions. There were several submissions this week. There was a large number of submissions that were submitted incorrectly. I want to kind of address that. We're going to talk about removing content items from modules and maybe address any few questions. I know a couple people had some other questions regarding modules. We're also going to talk about customizing the course menu, creating content items, and then we're going to talk about your final project. We have a lot to cover. We have it to cover in 1 hour and 10 minutes. So anytime as I'm going through this list, I'm going to open it up and say, are there any questions before I move on to the next topic? That is your opportunity to raise your hand. I'll take up to 3 questions per topic that we have, so we can get through this as quickly as possible. And then hopefully by the end of our session, we'll have some extra time, and then we can open it up to the floor for full questions. So let's get started. But before we get started on that, Mr. Adam over here had a question about discussions. The difference between, what was the question, Adam?
Threaded and unthreaded.
So let's see. So the difference between threaded and unthreaded replies to a discussion. So when I go into my actual discussion here, and let me go ahead and click edit. So your very first option is allow threaded replies. Okay? If that is not checked, oh, okay, can you see it?
Trying to turn off the 2 lights that are in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on the wall. One of the That's fine.
How about that?
That's good. I'm good with me.
Turn off all the lights and just open the skylight. Skylights are by the house.
There we go. Perfect. All right. So if it's an unthreaded reply, students would only be able to reply to this prompt post. Does that make sense?
Could you say that again? There's too much talk in the back.
Okay.
I can't hear you.
Oh, wait.
Gap. See how there's that gap right there between reply and my post?
Right.
Scroll up just a little bit. Is that what makes it threaded? Like I've started a thread and people are replying to me, and then other people are starting.
You started,
if it's
right.
Unthreaded, would that gap go away and everything is?
It would just be
line?
straight. It would just be straight in line. So, yeah. So let's reiterate. Let me repeat that again. Allow threaded replies. If it's unchecked, it's unthreaded.
Why would anybody ever want to have it unthreaded?
That's a good question. I mean, that depends on the actual instructor. But to explain the actual differences, my post is actually on top. This is my post. If it's unthreaded, a student can only reply to this initial prompt. Another student, for example, Adam made his post, his reply to my prompt, and we know that Alan over here, he also made a reply. He didn't make a reply to my prompt. As you can see at this first area, you see that he made a reply to Adam's prompt. If it's unthreaded, Alan would not be able to do this for Adam. And we know this is a threaded reply because, as you can see, Adam's avatar or logo, it's all big and everything else. Alan's is a little smaller and indented. So we know that he replied to Adam. Yes.
So this is not at all connected to the option in settings, the let students create discussion topics. Those are, like, we don't have the ability to create discussion topics in our.
Right. If you were, so when we talk about discussion topics, these are these topics right here that students would be able to create.
In the settings, if we select let students create discussion topics, they can create their own little forums like that.
Right.
Okay.
Could you show us how to do that?
So in the settings right here, I believe it's right here. So the question was allowing students to create their own discussion threads.
So that's in the settings menu, not in the discussions.
It's
menu.
in settings. And then more options. And it's right here. Let students create their own discussion topics. I don't know whether or not that's, because this discussion feature is totally different than what Blackboard is. I don't know if that would be a wise thing. I personally would just create my own discussions and let students reply to those, but that'll be up to you. At least you know that. Yeah.
I can see doing all different kinds of things depending.
But does that make sense? So threaded replies allows you to reply to other students.
Chris,
Yes,
can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
So what I was seeing right there, it looks like the setting to allow students to create new threads or not goes across the entire course. You can't do it for a specific forum like you can in Blackboard.
Right. So that's this entire course. Yes. Is that?
Yeah, I would find that a little bit of a relative disadvantage in the sense that I have sometimes a specific forum where I contain the students to not be able to create new threads, but usually I allow it in other forums. So
see, we got the idea between how Blackboard defines forums. They say forums and threads, totally different. The concept and how we deal with discussions, totally different than what it is in Canvas. So in theory, what Blackboard would call this would be an actual forum in Blackboard. And when you click on this, you would have the actual thread right here, but it's not in the same format. The format is more like a social media type Facebook format. So the idea of creating their own threads is something that's totally different. And if you don't allow, James, if you don't allow a student to create their own threads, meaning threaded replies, Nirmalia replying to Brian or Philip replying to Brian, they wouldn't be able to reply to these actual students and actually have that conversation. Does that make sense? Am I answering your question?
yeah, I'll explore it more.
Yes, Susan.
So if I wanted to, I could still go back into the settings. And so say for a month of the class, allow them to create topics, then go back into my settings
Right.
and change it.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you can change it however you want, just as long as you understand the features. Yes, Clifton.
I hope I'm wrong, but they're either all expanded or they're all collapsed. I couldn't collapse them, go down to say Philip's post, then only expand the response to yours.
Right. So right now, when we go through and we see the two rectangles with the arrow with the triangle pointing at the bottom, that's expanded where everything's expanded, and we see everything closed at the top. Now, I as an instructor, as I try my best to read your posts and I try to participate as much as I can, I keep them closed. I'll focus on. I'll actually say, okay, show me all the unread posts, and then I'll collapse those, or I'll go ahead and collapse them all and then scroll down through and say, okay, I want to focus on Wendy, on Maria's post. You have to go over, this took me a while, I didn't know this. To expand an actual post, do you see that triangle popping up? So when I click on that actual triangle, then it expands her posts. All right. So Adam, did that answer your question, sir?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right.
The
So
blue dot means unread.
yeah, the blue dot, yeah, that means. All right, so let's get back. Let's talk about incorrect URL submissions. Oh, by the way, Unit 3 is open today, so we give you a chance to jump over the weekend if you want to get a chance to work on that. You can focus on Unit 3. But getting back to our Virginia, let's address URL of robber submissions. So there are several assignments that have been submitted that the incorrect address was submitted, whether it was to a totally different website or a totally different section within Canvas or anything else. And I'm being a stickler on this, and I'm not giving you credit for it if you don't, because if you as an instructor, number one, if you don't understand how to submit an assignment correctly, you're going to have issues with your students and how you want them to submit your assignments to your course. Number two, as you're sharing your, I want you to get the URL to understand that for, like, for example, this announcement, this is the URL address that I want to share for this announcement. So if I wanted to post this in a discussion board and say, Susan, remember, here's the agenda that we talked about today. And if it's the incorrect address, you're pointing students into incorrect locations and everything else. So for example, even with some of the homepage assignments, I haven't been able to grade all of them, but I looked at like 2 or 3 of them. And it talked about with the homepage, the overview links that we have, the 2 links that you had on the bottom, some of those links are incorrect. You click on them and they don't work. They go to a broken page or something like that. And so what we're trying to do, as Janet mentioned, when we're trying to help you build an actual course, so from this point forward, these are not just exercises that we're actually doing, and then you can put some dummy comment in, some basic comment or content in and just submit it. Every assignment that you're working on, I want you to treat it and look at it as you're building your actual course, what you would actually do no differently in Blackboard as far as building your content. It's going to help you by the time you build your final project, and it's also going to help you by the time when this course ends, and you're going to have a better footing when you start building out the rest of your coursework. So when we're actually looking at our actual courses, so for example, when we go into the module section, I click on the module section, I can see the address right here. If I just double click right here, it selects the whole thing. I can hit Control-C to copy. And what I do before I post anywhere, before I make an announcement, like with the announcements and the links that I share, I'm going to open up a new tab. I'm in a fresh new place, and I'm just going to paste Control-V. Is this the correct address that I'm actually looking for? And if it loads and this is the right page, perfect. That's what I want to actually submit. If it's not, then I can actually submit it somewhere else. There were a couple submissions for the create a content page where an assignment was actually submitted, where you created an actual assignment in your sandbox and submitted that. First off, I want to get an opinion. With these videos, have they proven to be helpful in understanding what you need to submit and everything else?
Yes.
I have found them perfect. I mean, you explain it.
Mhm.
Go there, copy it, then go back here and submit it. Paste it.
Yes, William.
When you made the comment to me last night about, for someone who's intimidated by this, you did fine. All I was doing, I had the split screen on.
Yeah.
So I had yours and your video, and then I was just cutting and pasting. And that's why my reply to you said all I did was cut and paste.
Right.
I followed along with your video. And then the one that I submitted that was a little premature because I was doing it at the same time as
Right.
your video, and I hit submit. And then the last few seconds of your video said, go ahead down here and make a comment. I went, oops. I was doing it while watching it. I didn't watch it first and then rewatch.
And that's why I want to say, so
I was going to comment on what you were saying about testing yourself. So the trick that I fell into is that when you're logged in, the URL when you go to your profile page, for instance, is different than the one that would be the one that somebody else would view your profile
Right.
URL, right? So for instance, I can take that URL that I originally submitted, I can put that in another tab, hit it, and it opens up to my profile. So from looking at it from a user's point, you don't realize that that's actually not unique to you. It's funny because, so for instance, it makes sense if you look at the link and think about it. It's like, oh yeah, okay, that doesn't make sense. It just says /profile and then it goes to mine.
Right.
That's what happened to me is that link does work if you try another lane, but it works for your own profile.
So what Robert's talking about, this started with these URL submissions, and the profile section is a little unique, but my emphasis is on the other items there where there's a specific address that works across the whole board. But when we're talking about the profile, when I click on the profile, it goes in a GCC, the address is gccd.instructure.com/profile. Some instructors shared this address and submitted that through assignment.
And you probably saw yourself.
And what happens is when you give me that address, it pulls up my profile. In the video that was actually recorded, your profile information and the correct address that you want to go to is people, and then you click on any name. So let's click on Mr. Blanco. This address right up here connects with this right here and the actual profile information. And that's what you want to share.
That was a mistake I made. I jumped ahead to video and didn't watch every piece of your video. Stupidly. I know. Thinking I'm smart, technically I understand.
Just like our students.
So
Exactly.
so let's reiterate so we can help on this, because with my schedule and the other responsibilities I have, it's hard because the most I could grade is I start grading on Thursday. I try to get up on it, but when other fires that I have to attend to start going through, I don't get a chance to grade as early as I want to. So I know you make your submission comments, but if you have something that you actually want me to, if you want to say, Chris, look at my assignment, hit me up in the conversations inbox and subject submission, please review whatever you want me to submit. And then that'll be a sign for me to actually go ahead and jump on that as early as possible. So, because there's several people that I have that are kind of crunching down at the last moment that have to make changes. Number 2, let's reiterate, when we have these videos here, watch the video first. Do not follow along and start trying to do the actual assignment when we're actually doing the video. At the second moment, when you actually watch it on the second viewing, feel free to do it the second time. And then by the time you're actually submitting, kind of go through, let's see if I can actually do this. If I were to play this video, I'm going to mute this. Let's see if I go through the actual video here. As we go through here, so this is the section where I was actually going through and submitting the actual content. And go through, and when I'm going through this page, let me see. Is what you're seeing on screen, pause it, and before you actually make your submission, ask yourself, is what you're seeing on screen at these key points matching what I'm about to do? If it doesn't, make your adjustments or come and ask me questions. Or if you sit there and go through and you say, Chris, I'm about to submit my, for Unit 3, you're going to have to create a calendar item. I'm about to submit my calendar item. Here's the address I'm going to submit. Is that correct? Email me and let me know this is what I'm going to submit. And then I'll let you know, no, that's not correct, and I'll point you in the correct location. Does that make sense?
If we haven't heard from you directly, can we assume everything's been fine with our submissions?
So you can go onto your modules, and the one you've completed, you can actually click on to see what you downloaded. You can click
Well,
on it.
all of mine have always said submitted. So does that mean it's
Yeah, but on the
okay?
right side of the page, it actually has a link that you can click and show what you submitted.
So let's see what we have here.
If you go to modules, if you go to your modules,
Let's do this. So what I want to do, let's do this. The nice thing about Canvas that I can't do in Blackboard is I can become you people.
Have you told those with bad submissions?
Yeah, I've contacted those.
Okay, so then.
If you haven't, if you were to do something specifically that's against what I'm trying to communicate to you, number 1, in the grades, and I'll actually do your account too. So I'm actually in Susan's account right now, and I can go in the actual grade section. Anytime that I actually make a comment in the grading section, you'll see these comments here. So for this one, let's view what we had here. Susan talks about help, and I say, and this is my answer to her. So thank you for your help this morning, great job. And this was her original comment. Thank you for your help this morning. Of course, I have some more questions, blah, blah, blah. This is my reply to her, great job on the outline. And then I answer her questions there. You should be getting a notification on these submission comments.
I do.
Perfect. Okay, good. And that's one thing you want to do with your actual students too. That's not turned on by default in your submission comments. I would recommend having your submission comments send notify me right away. Right? Notify me right away. And that's something you want to tell your students too, because those are the important ones that you want to get. I didn't have that set, and I was missing those when instructors were submitting me content. One more thought, and then I will get to that. So the thing that I wanted to communicate, Susan, if there's an alarm that I want you to know, I'm going to make a submission comment, and then I'm going to follow that up with an actual email. So you're going to be getting double posts.
Okay.
It's going to be quite evident to you that there's something you need to address.
Okay,
If you
because
see
I
the
thought your videos were great, and it's nice to know I followed instructions.
Yes, Phil.
I was just looking at Unit 2, I think time 2.6, create a home page, and I went to look at my submission, and it's only showing me the text, it's not showing me the URL, which I'm now worried about. Yeah, that was for the home page one where you wanted not just the URL, but you wanted us to write a little paragraph as well, I believe.
Blanco. So what we're trying to do here.
But you choose a home page.
So look on the screen. So what we're looking at Blancos, and we're talking about, you have your copy here. Here's our weekly schedule. These 2 pages, this where this, and this goes right here. And you have a quiz right here. Yours works fine.
No, what I'm saying is when I look at what I submitted to you, the URL, I submitted to you a URL.
Oh, so you want to use the grade, okay.
View my submission.
So Mr. Blanco, so I'll show you actually how I do. So this is what we're going to do. Mr. Blanco has, and I'll show you how I grade these assignments. And I'll show you what I have to do to find out certain things. So in your case, when you start using the grades in your stuff, you'll realize that when your students submit incorrect stuff, the amount of work that you're going to have to do to communicate with them. So we're not going to talk about the grades in and of itself. I'm just going to show you my workflow. The emphasis is on my workflow and how I grade your stuff. So over here, outside of the Zoom pictures here, there's a to-do list here for me. This is my current to-do list. So for Unit 2, the discussions, I have 13 discussions I have to grade. For the content pages, I have 6 assignments to grade. For the hands-on create a module, I have 6. And for the hands-on choose a home page, I have 16 things I need to grade. Yes, sir.
Is that why? Because when I went into my grades, it said for the create a home page, choose a home page. I just have a T there.
Means I haven't graded it yet.
Oh,
What does the T mean? I was confused.
well, it's
I don't
nice.
even, but I don't know specifically how they define it, but I haven't graded your assignment yet.
Okay, but it's been submitted.
It's been submitted.
I have a T.
Yeah, and then once it's graded, is that where you get a check mark there?
You'll get a check mark, and then you'll see a little, you'll see the score that I've given you, and then there'll be a comment bubble telling me whether or not you did what, with my comments.
I don't have a T, but I have something that's kind of like a chain.
That's a link. So whether you see unless you see a number there, it means I haven't graded it yet.
Okay, so that's not a problem.
Right. I haven't graded it.
T is not a problem. Okay.
So for right now with Mr. Blanco here, he talked about the homepage. There's no URL address here.
Right. But I'm sure I submitted one because there were 2 tabs, right?
So there it is. So he's done multiple
do that?
submissions. So let's click on this. Let's see how this
did you
works.
get to the URL?
So you
You're looking at my
can,
paper.
so with assignments, you can submit more than once in Canvas. There are multiple, Blackboard, you specified how many attempts the student could have. Here as long as the assignment's available, you can have unlimited attempts. So for unlimited attempts, like Philip, he submitted 3 times. I clicked on the submission. He submitted at 12:06, 12:07, 12:10. So at 12:10, he made an actual comment. At 12:07, he actually had the actual link.
I need both.
So you don't necessarily, as long as I get the link, that's all that matters.
Oh, okay.
So if I click on the actual link, and if it goes to his homepage, and it goes to his homepage, he's correct. Philip's good to go. Yes, Sharon.
If you resubmit it, you have to do a new URL, or like I just added a question on my homepage thing that I had, so I don't forget it, and then I I saved it and then hit resubmit.
Mm-hmm.
Will you get that, or do I have to go through the whole thing with a new URL?
So you're just saying you submitted.
I just brought up, like, from this page, I brought up what I submitted you,
Uh-huh.
and then I added a comment, and then I clicked resubmit.
So this is your home page. This is your homepage link.
That up.
There's no submission. So with Phillips, I was able. So you've only submitted once.
Okay, because I just resubmitted something right
And
now.
I click here.
But if we update our pages, we would submit it, right? It's
Right.
the same URL.
Right. It's the same URL.
Oh, so is my comment on that?
You didn't make. There's no comments on the actual assignment. So your comments would be right here. They would appear right under this title if you made any comments or asked me any questions.
So you have to put the URL in again when you resubmit.
If you submitted the URL address incorrectly first time, yes.
I mean, if it's correct.
If it's correct the first time and you just make changes and you're like, hey, Chris, I made some changes, you could just send me a message in the conversations inbox and say, you don't have to resubmit anything. Just say, oh, I made some changes, blah, blah, blah. Here's the submission.
But if I wanted to resubmit, I would have to do the URL again.
If you looked at your submission and the first submission that you made was correct, if you wanted to resubmit anything, and let's say you just wanted to do it to get my opinion on something,
Yeah.
you don't have to send me the URL again.
Okay.
If the URL address is incorrect,
Yeah,
the first submission, and then you're proofreading, and then you find out, oh, I made the incorrect address, or I notify you, hey, Susan, the address for your homepage assignment's incorrect. Can you please resubmit it? Then you would have to resubmit. But also the thing that I'm also looking at too is when I'm looking at these assignments, the main thing I'm looking at here are these two links right here. Do these actually work? And thankfully for this page, they actually do. There was a couple of them, and I haven't had a chance to get a hold of those people, but there was a couple of them when these links are shared, they broke, they didn't work.
But so my question is, my links are right under my text.
Uh-huh.
So I submitted you a question, so I want to see how can I make a space, because in my creation there was a space and then it doesn't separate.
You put HTML pages in or line breaks.
That, yeah.
So what did you do?
I deleted what spaces you had. And then I hold Shift, Enter. Twice. I did that twice.
Enter, so shift, enter.
Yeah, Shift, Enter. Same.
Can you put HTML code in?
You can put HTML code, but that's not, I mean, for advanced people, yeah, you can sit there and you can talk to me about that and I'll answer those more advanced ones. But to address a more broader crowd that don't understand what they're, like, when I asked William what this means, he wouldn't be able to tell me. If I had a gun to his head and I said, William, tell me what this means, he would tell me to pull the triggers because he wouldn't be able to say anything. And that's nothing against him. It's just a simple fact that he just doesn't understand what that says. That's why I don't go into it for the scope of the course. But you can put that stuff in. So hopefully I made that clear. So with the stuff that we have due today, if I haven't graded your stuff, if you haven't gotten a grade from me, please go back if you've already completed it and just double check your work. Make sure it's there. I know you're good to go. And if you look at your home page, make sure that these actual links that you've submitted are actually correct as well.
I still have a question. If we're just cutting and pasting, how do we submit a wrong link?
Because people aren't paying attention.
Chris, they can check too. Under the module, in the module setting, if you go to the module where you submitted something and you click on that module, up in the right corner it says
And that's what I actually want to sit here and do. So
submission details, and then you can see what you actually submitted and check yourself.
It only shows your
Correct
latest.
it if it's wrong.
It only shows your latest submission, by the way. But you don't see all of them like you don't.
what I want to see Sharon's. So we're going to become Sharon right now. So what Mr. Lyons is telling us is when we go into the actual course, and I go into the modules section, and so for the create a homepage, choose a homepage assignment, you can see the submission details right here. And this is what you this was the last item that you submitted. So you can check on this and say, I can click on this. Does this go to the correct page? This is the home page assignment. Is this going to the correct page? And yes, it's good to go. If it's not, so this is the area kind of relating to where your question is. If that's not correct, and if it doesn't point to the right location, yes, you need to resubmit that. So I would sit here, I would click on this link,
I found it, so.
and it goes to that right course. So that's the scope on submission details. Philip, if you want, next week, I know you said you had some other questions. Why don't you hit me up next week and then we can talk.
I'll also look at the recording of this.
Perfect.
You gonna make available lunch or
Yeah, definitely.
announcements?
I'm debating that. It'll be up on the course by the end of the day. I'll try to figure out how to.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care, Phil. All right. So are there any other questions regarding that before I actually move on? Because I want to talk about a couple items here as far as removing content from modules. There's something important that we have to address here. So I am going to go into one of my dummy courses right here. If I go into the modules section, and let's look at the modules section, because so what I'm talking about here, we're talking about modules. I want to talk about removing content items. And there was a couple people, I want to make a distinguishing area here. Okay, I'm going to ask you a question. Looking at, and we've already, you know about Unit 2. So for Unit 3.3, Unit 3 instructional content, is that a content page or an assignment? I actually want an answer. 3.3 instructional content page. Hands-on create a calendar item. Is this a content page or an assignment? Assignment. We know that because there's a page with a pencil icon right there. There were a couple people that submitted their modules. And while the scope of the assignment was correct, because all I said is your modules must align with your course outline, I just wanted to see it match all together. People were using assignments when they actually should have been content pages, and vice versa. So I want to make sure we understand this distinctly. We know this is a quiz because there's a little lightning bolt there, and we know this is a discussion because this is the chat icon. So be mindful of those. Another thing regarding the modules that you want to pay attention to, and the reason why they were making this mistake is they didn't see in the video. When I click on and this screen is in the way here, when I click on for this actual module here and I click on the plus button, a lot of people were just, they saw this and they just clicked on new assignment and they just started creating. You want to be aware of where you're at if you want to add a quiz, a file, a content page, a discussion, a text editor. By the way, Clifton, I liked how you really did your text header in your modules, the way you did it in yours. But you made the way you formatted it was really nice. So, compliment.
See what I did.
Okay, yeah, I will at the end. So with the content page, so be mindful of what you're clicking on here, because if you start going through your actual modules and you're creating for a course, and what you're creating is an assignment when actually it's just a content page of information that you want to give to your students, it's going to throw those are the little things that are going to make the students more confused about your course than learning Canvas in and of itself, based on what we were talking about earlier.
Content page versus assignment.
So assignment, that's something, information that I'm instructing you to do, you're supposed to give it back to me and I'm going to grade you on it. Content page is just something I want you to be aware of.
But they're both structured exactly the same. They're both like the web page, the page is built that I can put whatever I want on it.
Yeah, it's basically in that fashion. Yes, William?
Yeah, I guess, and I told you about that when I made that mistake, is because I was just, I guess when I tell my students to read something, that's an assignment, at least in my head. But here, it wouldn't be an assignment, it would be
It's just something you want them to read.
yeah,
So an assignment,
is something they actually have to do. So I guess I have another mistake here, like if I actually want them to watch a video that's online, that wouldn't be an assignment either.
if it doesn't have a grade attached to it, it's not an assignment.
Okay, it's just what do you call it?
A content page.
Okay.
So
I
what-
got a
right.
mistake.
If
Great.
it's gonna be, you have to get like 2 points for watching the video, then you put it as an assignment.
Correct.
Or if you have to respond to it, that would be an assignment.
So what Canvas does, they talk to them, they define it as what they call assessments. Assessments in 3 areas: assignments, discussions, and quizzes. Assessments, anything I need to assess you is something I'm going to ask you to do and you're going to get a grade for. Content page is just something I want you to read. I just want you to be aware of, all I want you to do is be aware of that the next Canvas face-to-face meeting is on X and X day. Friday, March 3rd, 10 a.m., room 533. That's a content page, has no other meaning beyond that, other than I just want you to be aware of information that I want to give you. And those are little things that I wanted to point out because I saw those things in the actual modules area that were a little off. One last thing, and then I'll show what Clifton did. When we're talking about removing stuff, so let's use William as an example. William's working on his course, and let's make sure I'm in my right course. So I'm on my, I want to make sure because I'm going to start removing stuff, and I don't want to remove stuff from the official course. William's working on his course, and he realizes that this discussion board right here, that's not an assignment, that's a content page. The problem is you can't switch an assignment and change it into a content page by the click of a button. I have to remove, I would have to go in, I would probably go in, I would copy and paste this content maybe into a Word document or something, and then I would have to remove this. Now, how do you remove stuff from your modules? When I click on the icon here, I click on and I could say remove. Now let's look at this visually. So visually, you'd sit here and say remove, but there's also a trash can here. So automatically the layperson is not only am I when I'm removing this, you're thinking to yourself, I'm removing it completely and it's totally gone. But in reality, it's not. So if I were to click here and say 3.4, Unit 3, create a discussion, I'm going to click remove. Are you sure you want to remove it from the module? Yes. However, if I were to go to the discussions area, you will see that that's actually gone. Let me do the pages here.
Pages, it would still be.
It'd still be there for the, so for the assignments there. So let's say for Unit 3 overview, I want to remove a content page. I remove it. I say OK. I go, so 3.1, if I view all pages, my Unit 3 overview is still there.
But you can delete it from pages if
Right.
you want to completely get rid of it.
And that's what I want you to be aware of, because if you don't do that, can you imagine 6 months down the road, let's say you're actually, this time, 2018, you've been teaching your course 2 semesters, and you have this long list of content here, which 70% of it is not correct, and you're trying to ask me how to find that information, that is going to be a challenge. So when you actually remove stuff, I'm going to try to be aware of what you're actually removing, and then go to that related section and delete it. Because if you practice good organizational principles now, it's going to save you a lot more headache in the future. That's what I'm trying to do.
Is that
for you.
another reason to number them?
Yes, that's another reason why I actually
Because-
number them too.
The numbering,
Makes more sense.
at
I-
least you have things grouped in
I
time.
can't imagine with these with no numbers. I can't organize these things in any specific fashion. I can't do them by units. I can't do them by chapters. They're just a big long laundry list of actual pages. But since I've numbered them, I know that 0.4. Oh, that's in my Getting Started module. If I come down here, 3.9, that's in Unit 3. It's easy for me to pick things up on this stuff. And that's another reason why I influenced the numbering convention that I'd want to see in your pages. So that's something I wanted to be aware of. Any questions, any other questions on modules that you may have? Yes, Rob.
A couple things. So if one of my items for a module is to read the syllabus, it's content, right? I'm not going to grade it, so it's not an assignment.
Right.
It's content. But if I do it as a content page, I just want to say read syllabus. I don't want them, it's a link now, and then when you click on it, then do I say read syllabus? You know what I mean? Like, and I just have text that just shows there as something to do, rather than having it as a link to a whole content page. When I just want them to realize you should read the syllabus as an item. Make sense?
Yeah.
So there's two things. One is I could just put a link there to the syllabus page, but then what I realized is that if you do a link to something else like the syllabus page, where that would have the syllabus, that's going to change the next semester. So any links you start adding in your
You're going to have to,
other
that's
links,
something that you're going to have to create
because
too.
the course's number is going to change, right, the following semester. So I want to be really careful not to use it. I was going to make this just other people be careful on using links to other things, right? Because you're always going to have that courses.
And this is the #1 reason why I'm being a stickler on your submissions for the URLs, because if you don't manage and you don't create your links correctly to begin with, and then you're starting to do what Robert's suggesting as you're adding more sections, different parts of your course. You know, you have this content page that says go to the syllabus, go to this place, go to that place, and if those links are incorrect, you're going to have a hell of a time trying to fix those things there.
When you go to the next semester.
Right, and when you go to the next semester.
So what would be, if I wanted to say read the syllabus, what is your suggestion on how I should post that in a module? What's the best way?
I would sit there, and for me, there's, especially in an orientation area, if I wanted you to sit there and read something, I mean, how I had it, I mean, you can actually look at my actual course and sit there and see how I actually refer to information. Because I have all of my, I wouldn't have just one page that says make sure you read the syllabus.
Right.
I'm going to have other context here as far as my welcome. Here's some special notes. Here's the final product. Oh, by the way, read the course syllabus.
And then when you cover up the link, what is that actual link into your page? Does it have the course number in it? Okay.
This is the actual course number.
That's the kind of link I just want to be aware of, because then when you go to the next semester, that's going to be broken. Your class is going to be ported to it. You see what I'm saying?
Actually, no, I imported it here and I didn't change that. I didn't change that link.
But,
This
you
is,
see what I'm saying, right? If I have a Java class and then I port it next semester to my next Java class, the course number is going to be different, right? The next
so
semester.
what I'm saying is, so with the official course, the GC2 course, there's certain things that I want to show you that I can't show you in this course because that would screw up the course. So I exported this course, which is course ID 7273, and I imported it into this container 7287. I did not change this link. I did not make any, this is not broken. I did not make any changes to that link.
We can talk about some of that.
All right.
I don't
I'm glad
figure
I'm
out-
not the only one.
I don't understand. I don't see why it's not pointing back to your own course.
No,
Because don't you, when you get a new container every semester, it's going to give you a new course number?
yeah.
Just don't put the number in.
No, these are generated, what I'm saying, I'm referring to these, this address is generated by Canvas. By Canvas, Canvas gives each course a unique ID. This is not generated, this is not, has nothing to do with Grossmont and anything else.
Right. I didn't know if you were part of that.
I did not, I mean, I did initially, but the point that I'm trying to make is, through any time that I've copied this from one course to another, that link is not broken. It's worked. That's what I'm trying to
This is.
Also, another thing when we want to talk about as far as our modules that we want to be aware of too, this is one problem that I had, and this relates to the numbering conventions. When we actually go through in the actual modules, as I mentioned before in the video, I did not adopt the numbering conventions. And then after I did all the videos, I understood the actual importance of it. I went ahead and changed everything. 01, 02, and how you change title numbers. If I click on an actual content page and I say edit, I can actually change the title of the page. This is where my links broke. So when I actually went through the actual home page right here, and I started clicking on a lot of these links, they're gonna work now because I actually corrected them. All of these actually broke. So if you make changes, see this one broke, right? This is in my dummy course, this one broke. So my overview, and this is what I'm talking about when I actually view your courses. On the Introduction to Teaching with Canvas link, I click on this link, and let's say this is an official course. Student comes, clicks on this link, comes over here, boom, it doesn't work. This is why I'm being a stickler on submitting correct URLs for your actual assignments. And so anytime you want to be aware of that, anytime when you go into your modules and you make changes to these names here, if you've linked to these pages in any other sections of your site, you're going to need to update those links there. So how would I create or how would I correct the overview, the Introduction to Teaching with Canvas link, which now breaks? Doesn't work. On my home page, I can click Edit. All I need to do is highlight this link right here. And also, with links and everything else, you don't necessarily, I mean, I went through the hard way. I kind of teach the hard way first so we understand what associates with what. But you can also use your resource menu here. Look at the resource menu. The resource menu has pages, assignments, quizzes, announcements, every single section of your actual course. This Introduction to Teaching with Canvas, I wanted to point to the actual overview page for Unit 1. So I'm going to click on Pages, and then for Unit 1.1 Overview, I'm going to click on this link right here. And it's going to update the link. If you saw it turned yellow. And then I can go ahead and click Save. Now if I click on this link right now, the link's fixed. Did that make sense? So William, if you look on top here, and I'm going to do something here. Let me do something. I'm trying to break this link is what I'm trying to do right now. So William, if you look on screen here, the problem I have right now, if I click on this link, it's broken, does not work. It says the page unit does not exist. You can create it below. Does not work. I'm trying to correct it. I want to correct that broken link. I'm showing you how to correct your broken links. So I need to edit this page. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to click Edit. This is the broken link. This Unit 1 page, I want it to go to my Unit 1 overview page. So if you look up on screen here, I want this to link, all these links right here link to content pages. I want this to link to a content page. So I'm going over here to my pages section where all of my pages are listed, and I'm looking for the one content page that I want you to look at. And for Unit 1, it's this Unit 1.1 overview page. So for me to correct this link right here to point to this page, all I'm going to do is click on that link. Does that make sense? I click on that link, and when I click on this link, watch what happens over here. Click on it, you see it turn yellow, it just updated that link. So now, when I go back, I scroll down, I click Save, I click on the link, it now works. You understand what I just did?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So almost by mistake, so what I did was I went to modules and I highlight one of the items, copy and paste that and post it on my homepage.
Uh-huh.
That creates a link that actually refreshes the link itself if you change the name of the item or not.
Let's go to your course. I'm not clear on your question. I'm sorry, your last name again? Yeah. UA?
O-C-H-O-A.
OA. So tell me what you did.
So I go to modules
You go to modules.
and let's take the syllabus, the second one.
I click on syllabus.
I highlight that. Highlight that.
You highlight this.
Yeah. And copy that.
So you don't need, when you're looking at it, you don't need to highlight it. When you're looking at this, this is an actual link. All you would need to do, so the short area is you could highlight, you could hover over it, right click, and then say copy link address. Yeah, that's the same thing. So that's correct too. So what she's stating is how she's explaining how she obtains her link. So she's scrolling down here, and let's say she wants to post a link to what is science. This is another way to obtain the link. What I showed you, what I was teaching you is I click on the actual link and I copy the address because I want you to understand the actual URL address that relates to this actual page. However, when you're actually clicking, this is also an actual link. If you want to copy this and share it with someone else, I can right click over this and I could say copy link address. Copy link address. I could copy this link address, and then if I were to paste it, Control V, it would still go to the same page. So that's another way you can ensure that you're getting the correct link to the page that you want your students to read.
So what happened though is when I put that link in my homepage, as the link, one of those links, and you see that it's bold instead of green.
Mm-hmm.
So that one, it changes update automatically if I change the title of the item.
I see what you're saying. So by copying that link address, so do you mind if I change this then? Because I was explaining, so let me explain what you just said. Tell me if I'm correct. So you're saying by copying this link address, posting your comments, you've been able to change the title and it automatically updates. All right, so let's see that. Because for me, it hasn't been working in that fashion. And I click on the syllabus, and what I do is I copy this address, which is what I've been teaching in my video.
And I tried that too. It was a mistake. I mean,
so let's go through. So you have on your actual homepage, do you have your syllabus on your homepage? Yes, you do. So if I click on the 0.2 syllabus right now, it will bring up your homepage. All right. So let's go into your actual modules section. I'm going to change the title and let's just say edit. And I'm just going to remove the numbering. And I'm going to say update. Now I'm going to go back to your home page. And let's click on the actual link. And it still worked. Okay, for mine it didn't. So that's a good way to sit there and know how to make sure that. Point being that we've talked about different methods and everything else, and I'm sure you might see a little, because I've jumped around on different techniques and everything else. The thing I want you to make clear is as we're going through this, don't just create the link and make sure that it's actually correct and good to go. Actually, what you should do, like for example, with this homepage assignment, what I would actually do as a student, as an instructor, one of the first things you do is proofreading and work. I'm going to go into actual settings. And then in the left-hand menu area there, I'm going to go into student view. And I'm going to look at my course as an actual student. So from this point forward, the last step you do before you actually submit your assignment is this. So for this homepage assignment, I'm going to go through. My images show through perfectly. Obviously, my copy here is I'm going to proofread my copy. And then I'm going to go through, and I'm just going to go through and start clicking and making sure all my links work. And if I find anything that actually breaks, then I can go ahead and address that. And everything seems to be working right now that I've actually clicked, so I can click on that. The syllabus works, the welcome page works. All right, it seems like everything's working fine. If everything's working fine, then I can go ahead and submit this assignment. But I can guarantee most people where those mistakes rise in, they're not proofreading their work. So while we've talked about a lot of techniques, we've shared some from different instructors, I've shared you different ideas on how to create those links and correct those links. You can contact me about those technical details later, as far as the methodology and how to correct it stuff. Just really go through and proofread your work as you're going through before you submit something, and check all your links to make sure that they work properly. To get back out of student view when you're in settings, you saw it says leave student view or reset student view. Yes, sir.
The homepage assignment, wasn't it just to choose the homepage? Was it to create one as well? I read the directions.
There was two different options. So the question is, so with the homepage assignment, and let's actually go to mine. I don't want to mess with.
I just want to make sure I'm actually assignment.
So with the homepage assignment, the main page that you had was the one that I taught in the video was the choose as front page, meaning you could create a content page and choose it as your homepage. If you chose that, all I wanted was a paragraph that gave you a brief introduction of yourself, what the course is about, and how to get started. Those were three things. And then you had two links that pointed to two of your modules.
The directions on here says write a paragraph explaining your choice of which one you'd use.
That's the actual submission. So when we actually go, can I do that here?
I didn't say to create the page. I mean, I'm going to create it, but I just want to make sure I give you what you want.
Right. Let's actually go
Choose
through.
the homepage. After you do so, use the assignment link and write a paragraph explaining your choice and how you think it would support students.
Right. Now, choose it. Now, I have instructions here after you do that. So, student success. That's what you're reading here. Here's the video outlining the expectations of the assignment. What I'm talking about is what's detailed in the video.
Yeah, so do you want us to, I'm just asking, maybe it's a different question. Do you want us to make the homepage and submit it to you by today?
Yeah, this is due today, 11:59 by midnight tonight.
So the create the homepage is also due. The directions say to choose what you would do and explain why you made that choice. It didn't say to create the homepage.
Well, okay, let's do it this way. So if you actually sat here, if you sat here and said, I'm going to choose a homepage, and by the way, what I'm actually doing here is if I go here and I'm on my screen here, if I say choose a homepage, and I want to choose the course modules. I don't want to choose the course. I want to choose the course modules, and I say save. That's my homepage. I want you to submit me a URL address. Explain to me why you chose this.
We explain in the little box
When you go through and actually,
with the URL.
let me modules.
Is that where you want it in the comments box?
1 second.
And if we had a little bit of time for discussion on homepage, I'd love to get some ideas.
So I come up here, I say submit assignment. In the text entry box, ignore the website URL because that part won't work. I need to change that. So for this, I choose a home page, courses, modules. I want my modules to be the home page. I'm going to copy this address. I'm going to paste it in here. And I'm going to tell my instructor, I chose the modules page because of this. Okay? Now, if I chose, I have to leave the student view. Now, if I choose the home page and I say the page's front page, you have to create something because you have to create a content page that has something. Otherwise, that page is just blank. And in the video that I outlined, if I said if you chose the pages as front page, these are the things that I want to see on that page. Then you would submit to me that link, post it in the text entry box, tell me why you submitted that. Does that make better sense? All right. We got 9 minutes. I want to talk about this navigation area right here. If we look at certain courses here, and let's go back to, I'm going to go back, let's use Sharon's as an example. So right now I'm in Sharon's sandbox right now, and we're going to actually see the difference. So we actually look. I'm going in student view. This is my course, and this is Sharon's course. So we see the difference in what we have here. I want you to write this down right now. The links you're going to format for your navigation. Now, this is a base recommendation. You're going to have home, announcements, syllabus, modules, grades, discussion, people. Out of the course menu, that's the bare bones basics that you need to actually operate your course successfully. Obviously, there's some items that you might need later on, but this is going to be the core of what you're going to need for your course. And we can see the difference between my course, and we can see the difference between the way Sharon and the rest of your courses are like this. We want to avoid a long laundry list of points of entry to different areas of content, because if I have the module section open and then the assignment section, you see where students, okay, well, where do I go? Am I going to go to the module section to do my assignments? Or am I going to do the assignment section? Or am I going to go to the quizzes? The more points of entry that you have for a student to get to your content, the more confused that they're going to get. Everything that should be focused on should be in modules. So when we're looking at this, and I will go over the menu item one last time, we're looking at home, announcements, syllabus, modules, grades, discussion, and people.
We can reorder these, right?
I'm going to show you how to do that right now.
Yeah, okay, because I know you said you could. What do people know?
Who's in the class?
So the students can see all the students?
Yeah.
You have limited class?
All right, so I can't do it in Sharon's course because I don't have a setting here because I'm not an instructor, I'm an actual student, so I'm going to leave student view. So Sharon, you don't actually have to worry about this because I'm going to do it for you. So I'm going to click on, so to change the menu, I'm going to click on settings. And then I'm going to click on navigation. Navigation's up at the top. Did you find it? All right. So let's take a look at what we have here. We have two sections here. At the top, we have a section here that says drag and drop items to reorder the course navigation. These are all the items that are currently available to students. These drag items here to hide them from students. So things that we do not want students to see are going to be listed in this area right here. So we have all of these items that we want to have available. I'm going to leave student view here as well. So in the list, chat. It's not in the main item list. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to put that down, I'm going to drag that here. Chat goes down at the bottom. Attendance, I'm going to drag that down at the bottom. Collaboration, I'm going to drag that down. Module, or conferences, I'm going to drag that down. Modules I want to keep. Quizzes, I'm going to drag down. Outcomes, drag down. Files, we don't want them access to files. Or pages. We want to keep people, we want to keep grades, we want to keep discussions, assignments, and we don't want assignments. Assignments go down to the bottom as well. Now let's drag it, organize it in the order that I have it. So home, the next thing's announcements. The next item I would want to have is syllabus, so I'm just dragging and dropping these items. The next item I want them to focus on is the actual modules. Then we have discussions, we have grades, and people. This is the format I want to see for your actual navigation, for your course and your final project.
Chris, could you explain what files actually does? Because I've seen obviously about that files option.
We touched base on it last week, but the files option, I mean, as far as here, this is only just a repository for your work. I mean, we see Sharon hasn't uploaded anything, but as she starts to upload stuff, you don't want to get in a misconception that if I upload it in this section, students automatically have available to it. Now, you could have the option of making it available if you want, but I don't normally recommend it. Because in this file section, you might have stuff that you want to upload that you only want to be privy to, combined with the stuff that you want your students to see. And if you give them access to this, they're going to have access to everything. So I'd imagine, make sure you have this closed, and then in your module section, you actually control what you want your students to actually access. So she could go on the syllabus page, she could go through here and then add her syllabus on this page. And that would be pulled from the file section. Does that make sense?
You have to save all this.
Yeah, at the very bottom, I have to go over and I say save. So you want me to go through the whole process one more time?
So what you're saying is, okay, even though I have a set of assignments, if I have that category, students wouldn't, they should access the assignments through where I put them in the modules.
Correct.
Okay, because otherwise they could do it more than one way and get confused.
Right, and then
If I
the
have
assignments
this-
way, there's no way to linearly organize it in a way that would work from students from a week-to-week session. You have more control on how you organize your content in the module section than you have in any other area.
Yeah, right, because there's more sequentiality to it, whereas the others are just sort of topic lists.
Plus, yeah, and plus you don't, I mean, in the module section, when I look at these modules now that, you know, now that Sharon has her modules set up and they're set up really well, now I have the opportunity, and she has her assignments. We know these assignments are here. There's the paper and pencil, and they're indented. We have the discussions here. Now she can set her requirements up. She could go through here and say, and click on the little icon right here, the gear icon, say edit. She can add a prerequisite stating you need to complete the unit 0 before you actually get started. And then she can add her requirements. So for the week 1 overview, just want to view that item. For 1.2, that's view the item. Or she could sit there and say for instructor's notes, maybe she wants to sit there and say mark is done. So she has a way to control her course. You have a way to control your course, which you would not have the ability to do in the other areas. The only option that I sit here, the only other side option that I sit here and I make available is the actual discussions, because the discussions, it's much easier for me to go to the discussions and know, okay, I need to focus on 1.6. I can click on that, I can access it right away. That's the only one that I'd sit there and take out of the constraint of just focusing on the module section. Does that make sense? It's 11:30 now. I can keep going if you'd like, if we're good to go. I don't know how long we have this room till. I mean, I don't know what the.
Can you show us some of the home pages? Can I just ask you, like, don't students always want to do like modules?
Yeah.
So all the pretty home pages, how often does somebody actually goes there?
Let's look at. So what I'm actually showing here, let's do one here.
You guys, do most of your home pages just go right to your modules?
The 2 pages, the 2 links that I wanted to go through were supposed to go to overview page. So, but I'll show you one from another instructor, Jenny.
Like Sharon had a real pretty home page. And Wendy had a real pretty home page. But then everything on it should be talking about going to the module.
That's the end goal, yes.
I was wondering after week 2 or 3, if you make the modules the home page.
So as you go through, if you want to see an example of an actual student, you can see her course, Welcome to Geology 104.
So like, how often do I want to read that?
Right.
After week 1, it makes any sense.
But there's that start here. You can update, this can evolve over time, but this is just an idea or an example of a home page. And then she clicks start here, and this is her modules.
Like I was sharing, I was thinking, just hearing the figure, like, it looks gorgeous, right? But how often does the homepage want to say, like mine would say, welcome to my class and all that.
Oh, no, I
After that, they only want to go to modules.
After the first week, then I changed it.
Yeah.
Then I changed it to go to the module.
Okay, that makes
Then at
sense.
the first week, I want them to see that.
Take care.
That's the kind of logic I wanted to use new, because I thought, man, mine looks so ugly. This is modules, but I think the first week or 2, maybe have that one.
But I like to start here.
How do you create all those? But like you did on your homepage, there's nice coloring and arrows.
We're going to have,
Yeah, I want the colors too and the arrows, right?
I have a question for you.
uh-huh.
For the modules, you cannot just have a page for just one module, right? So when in my homepage, because my idea for the homepage was kind of like a home page for them.
Yeah.
In my inside of pages, I'm planning to put a button at the bottom that takes them to the homepage, so where they can access all the content.
So they're going to start on the one that says scientific thought.
Yeah.
And then right below that, you had module.
Yeah, I think I will put all the link to the modules. But the problem I have with that, I know it's a good idea, is that there's not an actual link to the module. You can only create a link to an item inside the module.
Oh, but not to.
I can't
Like,
link
I
right.
remember I did the URL.
Like here, sir. Okay,
I
so
can find it.
So what's your question? Wait. Well, what's the question?
So what I would like to do is like what I was doing with Blackboard. That I used to have like a page was like whole week 1.
Right. That's what you have right here.
Yes, but there's not a link that will show me just what they have to do in the week.
So you want to be able to actually, like, you click on a link, and then it automatically opens and goes directly to that section. So the only way that I've been able to find that is when I go through here, I click edit. You have your modules section here. Now, I don't know if, can I copy the link here? I click on modules.
Yeah.
And let's do, what do you have here? Let me go back. So what is science? We'll use what is science. So what is science? I copy this link address and I will cancel this page. So what I would actually do is on the home page, I'd start on the home page, I'd say edit. I'm going to click on the modules section. So what is science? This is actually this link right here. What is science? I click on that link right there. I just updated it. So I say save, and then I say what is science, and then it goes directly down to that section. It's kind of hard to see because you only have 2 here, but if you had like 3, if I link 4, it'd go directly down to that link. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the whole idea as far as this. Your home page, that's This is your, like, all the creative freedom you folks have, you love, that use Blackboard, love the left course menu and everything else. We know we can't add or do any custom things in the course menu. Your homepage is where you make your communication. You have your creative freedom to make it look as pretty as you want, and then add whatever information you want as you progress in the actual course. Yeah.
All right.
Perfect.
I like to have that one with like, whatever you are, you can go back to the homepage and see where you are.
Right.
And what you are doing on what you are.
Right. Perfect. Alrighty, James, thank you for joining. I'll be calling you. Are you going to be available later, within the next hour? Can you hear me, James?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't sure you were talking to me. Were you asking if I'd be available by Zoom or?
By phone call.
Sure, either one.
So I'll call you. I'm going to call you by 12:30. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and stop the meeting right now.
Okay.
All right, thanks for joining. And then, like I said, I'll be calling you because I want to get your feedback on how you think it went.
Okay.
Thanks, James.
Okay, hasta.
So is a